What does the MCU mean for me? It's AC/DC, Iron Man, all those years ago. Just loving this amazing intro and hoping that somebody was finally going to take this seriously. And it didn't take me long to work out that between Robert Downey Jr.'s pitch perfect charisma explosion, that they were actually going to do Tony Stark, not Iron Man. Eventually Iron Man would show up, but he was Iron Man, and they did it right. They gave a character study that led to a much more interesting and in-depth look at what kind of person can become a superhero and what drives you and what your fears are. And thank God when they did, they nailed the suit. They nailed the landing. I think we all remember that moment of the helmet shut thud and the first landing, fist to knee on ground, superhero landing. And for me, I almost jumped out of my seat when he did his walk away tank blow up moment. I think Iron Man opened the door and it was amazing.
I remember when I first saw Iron Man. I'll always remember it. I thought it was going to be like Ang Lee's Hulk or Fantastic Four, a little bit too much in the realm of comic book campness. I think it really hit me that Marvel were going to do a great job at the moment that Tony Stark was fixing his right arm in the first movie, listening to a news report about the Ten Rings attack, and he looks in the mirror, and just as the reporter says, "Who, if anyone, will help?" then he suits up.
But I'm a Captain America man. I've never hit it. I've tried to, and I failed desperately. I couldn't have been happier when I saw that, okay, we're getting the first Avenger. It's happening. I'm going to get to see Steve Rogers, Captain America. How will people react? I don't know. He's Superman without being Superman because he's so virtuous and wonderful. But they introduced a little scrawny Steve Rogers the way they had to and showed the real Captain America before he ever picked up the shield. The guy that'll jump on a grenade and the entire time while waiting for it to blow up is still shouting at people to get back. That's Captain America. And that just made it for me. They went on and they did a great job of bringing in and laying foundation of all these other wonderful characters. Some I knew, like Thor, some I had no idea about, like the soundtrack to my year that Guardians of the Galaxy came out. I laughed my head off and loved every minute. But they did heist movies, they did espionage, there was tone, style, there was all sorts of changes, but the one thing that they kept the whole way through was depth. They stuck with depth of character. And because of that, I'm sticking with the MCU all the way to the end game. And because I love what they do, I can do this all day.
That is the moment I fell in love with these movies. From there it just got better. From Cap's man out of time towards rise to a true hero. Nat and Hawkeye's great grounded relationship. Bruce's struggle with trust. The Guardians becoming a family. Ant-Man and his heists, which had Doctor Strange in his dream cloak, Spider-Man showing his heart, Nebula finding her sister, Black Panther stepping into the light, and Captain Marvel showing her wild side, and so many more standing together with them. I and all the fans saw this family of heroes grow, lose, win, and get hurt, but keep standing and going on. And now we're in the end game. Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul.
And I'm Patrick.
And I'm Tony Stark.
And I'm Steve Rogers.
Which goes, we're going to be talking about the Endgame, Avengers Endgame. Now, this will have spoilers in it, so we will be warning you a lot before you even watch the video.
Yeah, actually, I'm calling this as your final warning because we would have to keep warning you the whole way through. This is your final warning. If you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this yet. Most of the planet's going to have seen the movie by the time this comes out. Excuse me, my voice went because I'm still emotional from seeing the film. Enjoy our spoiler-filled review starting now.
Usually we won't do spoiler reviews, but this one it's very hard not to talk about all the things in it. So
yeah.
So, wow, Christ.
Well, I guess to start it off with overall feelings, myself and Paul haven't talked in depth, but we know we both in general feel positive. But we definitely have differences as far as the nuance goes. I think nothing major, but I'm just getting the impression that some things I'm more into or more happy with and some things you're more happy with, which is great. It's great that we've got Iron Man and Captain America We really should have had this channel going when Civil War was being made.
Yeah, it would have.
Because I'm Team Cap all the way.
Yeah.
And I think this movie, in a lot of ways, hinges around those two guys, but they're not the only thing. And I think the starting of the movie, starting nice and low key with Hawkeye, was so appropriate.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed
gosh.
that.
That was such an emotional. Like it really it makes you. It makes you feel more emotionally connected to what happened.
Yeah.
And the fact is that one of your favorite heroes, or one of the heroes that you really like, what he went through.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Which, no action set piece to start this one,
no,
for sure.
Not at all. It was a perfect family moment with a down-to-earth hero, and it's so heartfelt, especially the moment.
Yeah.
Because they played it off so fucking well. And he's just missing.
Yeah, and I had that moment in the theater. I don't know what... we saw it separately, myself and Paul. Midnight showing over here. Very, very nice. I had a theater full of people that I was really glad were there, because there was obviously a mix of people who were really into it, but also some that were a little bit newer to the franchise, I got the feeling. And as they had obviously watched, and they, or they knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But as the first dusting happened, as Hawkeye turns and sees the dust from his daughter, somebody audibly gasped, and it just emotionally helped ramp the whole room up together.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like
it was. I can't imagine if that film had started with an action set piece, it being the same film. So
no, I don't think you
perfect.
could have, because the only one that I think of that you could do is either an action moment within the fight that they had in Infinity War, showing it something else.
Yeah.
Or that was important, or having them fighting Thanos after the fact.
Yeah.
But you couldn't have that either. It's a great moment it really emotionally grabs you, especially since we've had a year.
Yeah, I actually don't know exactly how long it's been, but it's been essentially a year and a bit, maybe, or just less than a year
between the two. So between Infinity War and
Endgame.
So because we had Captain Marvel in the middle.
If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about at any stage, sorry. For this one, there's no point in trying to give a recap or get up to speed, because we'd have about 30 to 40 characters to do that with.
Yeah.
So suffice it to say, in Infinity War, the big bad guy Thanos snapped half of existence out of existence, and this film picks up perfectly, showing the impact of that on a single person.
Yeah.
So that really, really drove it home, which the end of Infinity War had the grand, horrible feeling, with everybody looking sad together. It was great to have one man in a field look sad on his own.
Yeah, especially since at the offset of Civil War, he takes the deal.
Yeah, yes.
And because he loves his family and everything like that. So it's that moment.
He'd been out of the frame for a little while too.
Is
so
it Civil War? Yeah, it is Civil War. That
after Civil War, he gets the Sokovia Accords. I think the next, and we're not going to go through the film scene by scene, but the next big reveal to us is that Tony Stark is on the Benatar with Nebula. So it's what happened to them next.
Yeah.
And there's a little heartfelt moment where they're playing the table flick football, and they did a great job of introducing the situation of this odd couple.
Yeah.
Which was
incredibly competitive versus our charismatic fun guy kind of thing. So
yeah,
it was an interesting dynamic, especially since I felt like it was a real kind of father moment in a weird way again, because they're just playing that American football game. We have the piece of card and you flick it and people do
through the uprights.
They do that,
yeah,
kind of thing, which is great. That's a great moment because they keep doing it, and then he's just like, you won, well done, and she's just like, I would like to play again, and kind of thing. It
sets them up nicely because it moves you into space nicely. Also, it reminds everybody that this didn't just happen on Earth. This is universal, and it was because they were isolated and floating around in space on their own. They had Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye in a field on his own after this. Yeah. And they had these two trapped in a tin can in space.
Yeah, but I think that football moment also sets up after Tony Stark does his message to Pepper.
Yeah.
When he sits down or lies down on the ground, she picks him up and puts him in this chair and stuff. And it's a real kind of they know that they're in this together.
Yeah.
Like, she might not have to eat and drink as much as him, but she understands.
And it's setting that metaphor that everybody that's left is in it together. And everybody has had this conversation at least once, if they're into all this. Was Thanos completely wrong in all his thinking? Well, one of the kind of indicators in all this is, Thanos is what an asshole. But talk about bringing people together. It's a weird, like, I'm not doing a Captain America on this and trying to find the bright side, the whales in the Hudson, but I'm definitely saying that they didn't shy away from the idea that this has now brought what's left together as a group who are all mourning together.
Yes.
Not as a benefit. I'm not saying that was Thanos' intent, but it was played out well, I think.
No, I think it's played well in the fact that, like, it's weird because he like it. He says that it's going to give everybody, like, like, together and make them feel good about, like, a paradise and a grateful universe and stuff. But it does bring them together in such a different way. And the fact is that they feel a drive to win. Yeah, and to get back.
Eventually he realizes that error and he verbalizes that, I had the right idea but the wrong execution, because you did all come together, but you all came together in sadness. Now, he didn't say it that way. He was looking at it from another point of view.
Yeah.
But the film did play that theme nicely in, which is where my favourite lady, she was a miss when I knew her, and she became a captain and showed up on screen at last this year. When Carol Danvers shows up like Tinkerbell outside the spaceship, glowing like a fairy, I was like, yes. They're introducing her early. They're getting on with this. They're doing it right. Mm-hmm. How did you feel when she showed up? Was there
fine? It was a really good. I kind of guessed that was going to happen. Like,
she was the one. It was her or somebody Guardians adjacent that we'd met, because they were the only cosmic people.
Yeah, kind of thing. So I wasn't too hurt about that. I was glad that they introduced her early as well. But I think we've seen Tony Stark, like, starved and dehydrated and everything, and then brought back to Earth, and he meets the team and stuff like that. It's kind of like it's such a heartfelt moment because he is so defeated.
Yeah,
like
he's broken.
He's way more defeated than any of the other ones.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, all the other ones are like, we got to move on, we got to find this guy, we got to try and get him back. But he's just like, we lost.
Yeah, his isn't just guilt. Thor is expressing the guilt for not doing more. Tony is expressing the defeat of a beaten man.
Yeah, and also, like, the defeat of not, as in, like, the whole thing about we lost. You said we would lose together, and we didn't. You were nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, which I actually, and that's one of the things they were running the risk of making Stark just seem like a dick, because he wasn't with you, Tony, but he was here losing everybody else, fighting. He was actually fighting face to face with Thanos as the snap happened.
Yeah.
And I think they pulled it back nicely as it all went on, because, as you say, it was the broken man, it was the defeated man talking.
Because he specifically says that, but then he says, I lost the kid.
Yeah,
like it's verging on the border of being a dick, and then pulls it back because you figure he's like, I lost a kid, and you're just like, oh, this is one of the reasons why he's so defeated in the fact that he lost Peter Parker.
Yeah, and he's had all of the MCU evolution to have that build up to feeling like he's the one that has to save everyone. He has I have to be the one to save you all. So Thor felt like he'd messed up and he was depressed because he felt he'd lost. Mm-hmm. Tony felt that he'd failed.
Yeah,
his purpose in life was now just gone forever. So,
but then we move on to which goes the Thanos part.
Yeah,
first Thanos part. So that was an interesting.
How did you feel about we're skipping straight to Thanos, and then we're gonna pretty much spoiler. We're gonna, like,
we've already said that we're gonna warn people.
But the fact that they lop his head off.
Oh yeah, no, immediately. As in, it felt in this way that they, for one, having Captain Marvel just go, I'm just gonna go kill Thanos. Is just a great moment of showing her and all the other ones going, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then Thor doing his whole hammer and liking her thing.
it felt like, oh, she has been outside this whole thing for quite a while thing.
Yeah.
I didn't like her constantly showing off about it. It's like, oh yeah, I have a big universe to fucking protect and stuff.
I don't think that was so much shown. I thought that was very appropriate because the question was, where are you? And I think Rhodey was being a bit meh, but like, where the hell were you all this time had to be explained to everybody.
No, yeah.
And I think her going, you guys are dealing with here. Like, there's a massive universe that I'm involved in.
I see. It was all that, but until she said, I was just like, that's a bit much. Like, because the Nova Corps are around as well, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's so many. There has to be so many other elements. But it was the time when she goes, not everybody had the Avengers.
Exactly.
That was the part that won me back in that part.
Right.
But I was just like, why? We already know that there's so many. We know that the Nova Corps exists.
I think it was explaining to Rhodey, and he was acting as an audience surrogate to go, this is why she's not hanging around Earth, because she's not an Earth-based hero.
I know, but I think it would have been better if they just, instead of going, I was like in the universe, if she just had said, not everyone has the Avengers.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a better way of explaining it.
Not for me. But and again, this is one of those times where we're going to end up getting to those points where we just feel completely differently about it. And I would have actually disliked if that had been it. It'd be like, that's not a good answer. That's okay, the Earth is the Avengers, but why weren't you here to help us out? You're an Earthling. You're Terran as far as we're concerned. So again, that's one of those great things where we both feel positively, but some of the changes that I'd like to see, I think, would have diminished the movie for you, and probably vice versa. Some of the changes you'd like to see would diminish the movie for me.
Yeah.
Which is good, because there's going to be everybody out there wanting other changes.
Yeah, of course. This is going to be the most critiqued movie in the entire Marvel universe.
But the fact that they brought us all so far together, it's really impressive that when we get
there's
down
a
to those
full
points.
thread. We are nitpicking.
Of course.
There's two characters that I'm definitely not nitpicking. I did not like them.
Okay, well, actually, then let's fast forward as the movie did to 5 years later, and that slow reveal of those 3 words, which I enjoyed.
Just give you the impact and stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed.
They also grayscaled it a bit during that period.
Yeah,
a little bit of it. They
added a depressive air over everything, which was
not grayscale, probably blue, very
sad.
Yeah,
yeah. And was it Joe Russo that was in the support group with Captain America, who was talking about going on the date?
I think so,
because it looked like him, and I was like, that's the director, but I think he's lost a few pounds, so fair play to you. You're looking good, man. That whole section for me became the start of the Black Widow story. Like, she'd been in the first part of the film, but Scarlett Johansson got to act.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a great job. When she is sitting there after talking to the various people of the new council, which is Rhodey and all those people in Rocket, when she's crying and full of tears because she's being told that, Clint Barton is out there being a bit of a psycho right now, and she's like, just let me know where he is next. I felt it with her, and I had not felt a connection with Black Widow like that before. I think Scarlett Johansson nailed that scene. No,
she was very good, and because I think it gives a little bit of impact with Rhodey saying, like, Hawkeye being a monster, and Rhodes kind of going, I don't even know if I want to find him. It's such a moment where it's just like, that they're all friends, and that the depression and the hell that he must have gone through, and
it sets the Black Widow character up properly for her arc, because what they all have is their own story fulfilled a little bit in this movie, and hers was, she found purpose as somebody with so much red in their ledger, just to talk through her character in this film. She's been built up as that. Then she verbalizes that, this is what I have. I was with these people and becoming a better person, and this idea that she felt a responsibility to protect the world from being Director Fury, pretty much. Yeah, I was going to say it felt like a natural progression of her character to become the new Nick Fury. And can we talk through her just to her demise now? Would that be okay? Do you mind if we jump? Because we can go to the first 6 Avengers and actually tell this movie through each one of them. Because her story goes to an ultimate sacrifice to get the Soul Stone on Vormir. And it is her correct ending. It is her correct ending that what she needed to do was wipe the red from her ledger.
Mm-hmm.
She needed to sacrifice and give back. She had felt guilt and felt like she owed a debt all the way through the MCU.
Yeah.
So I think it was they really did a good job with Black Widow for me in this movie.
I do like the part that they're just like, we are talking about the same people, right? When they're in the fight.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like, oh man, we just have to someone will have to give their life for this and stuff. We are talking about the same person, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just
her and Hawkeye's buddy moments are good.
Because there was a moment that I was just like, oh, are they going to do... There was a little part of my brain that I was just like, oh, are they going to make Hawkeye just sacrifice her in the fact that he wants his family back?
Yeah.
Kind of thing? Or is it going to be the sacrifice? You know?
And I know a lot of people go, well, how did they get the stone? Because her sacrificing herself isn't her sacrificing someone else. I call bullshit on that. It works for her story. It works for his story. He was still there holding her, blah, blah, blah. So just knock that shit off.
Yeah, I think that if I had to explain it, I think because both of them entered the place, both of them caring for each other a lot, having them being through so much and finding themselves again once after the snap and stuff, that once she sacrificed herself, it was the sacrifice given for Renner to get the stone.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So there's two of the original 6 and 1 stone. So we can go through the original 6 and the stones to get through most of this movie, because Hawkeye had his arc fulfilled also
pretty quickly. Yeah.
So they were both dealt with well.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we bring up? Let's see who else would be on the original roster. Maybe below the big 3 is the Hulk. So what about the Hulk?
Yeah, the Hulk I hated. I hated Professor Hulk.
And again, I want you to be able to give your reason why, because I agree with it, but it didn't bother me, and I can explain to you why it didn't bother me in the long run.
So in Infinity War, we had a great conflict between the two characters, in the fact that
Hulk had finally been beaten outright and seemed scared or something, and which was Bruce Banner seemed like he would have to talk to Hulk and resolve it and everything like that. And I was really waiting to see that moment, even for a little bit, of how that character was going to resolve the conflict between the two of them. And then we got a resolution off screen, and
which is shit.
And we got Professor Hulk, which I don't mind Professor Hulk. It just pissed me off that they were just like, oh, we had an entire resolution between the two characters, and
we've crammed it into one line of dialogue to explain it to you.
Yeah.
And here's my thinking, because I agree, and we had talked about this before, that between Ragnarok and Infinity War, they had really set up an interesting Banner Hulk arc. And there was even talk just around all this. I think the Russos had gone, oh, we're really going somewhere with this. And then to have it just be Professor Hulk resolution and him deliver the news that, oh, off screen, I sorted this out. 18 months of gamma ray, blah, blah, blah. Me and the Hulk are friends. Best of both worlds. I agree, absolutely 100%. Bit crappy. How was I able to get over it so fast? In a movie of this size and scale with so many people in it, once I realised, oh, well, we haven't lost the Hulk and we haven't lost Banner. They're going to go on. They were a casualty of time. I think if it was a 4-hour movie, yes, I was able to kind of go, yeah, that's annoying, but I can get over it because of everything else I'm getting in its place. Because you could I pick something else to completely sacrifice and go, we could have given more time to the Hulk Banner? There's maybe 1 or 2 things I could pick.
Yeah, it's
a casualty of war for me.
Yeah, see, I don't buy that, because now it just feels like in Infinity War the reason they didn't have the Hulk is because they just couldn't deal with his power level. That's what it feels like now, because like with it having a proper resolution in Endgame, it makes sense in the fact that they're having a proper conflict. With them not having a proper resolution, it feels like the only reason they did that was so that they didn't have the Hulk on screen fighting Thanos at a really good power level. That's what it felt like to me.
And the reason it didn't feel like that to me is because, again, they did end it. They ended it off screen. Like they took care of the arc. I agree that they did it poorly by doing it quickly and off screen. But again, I'm being pragmatic about it to go, yeah, not cool that you did that, but you did that probably for the reasons that we got the whole rest of this film. I think there's no way that there weren't going to be things that were going to be niggly, and that's why I was able to take the things that I was disappointed by and completely turn them into, okay, and let's move on because we've got all the rest of this going on.
Yeah, it's just the kind of like I'd be able to get over it if I felt like Hulk had a bigger part to play in the movie, though, because he really doesn't.
I understand that.
Like it's letdown after letdown with that character, and the fact that the only useful thing he does is one snap, and it's just because it seems like he's the biggest guy there.
He's the biggest gun in that room who's not drunk at the time. Yeah,
Kind of thing. It just feels bad, and the fact that like
completely agree they didn't deal with it brilliantly.
Because if they did something later on, maybe with the character, because there's a moment when they go back in time and they meet the Ancient One and Bruce Banner and she pushes Bruce Banner out of the Hulk, and I was just like,
now's the time.
Well, I was just like, this is a really good moment because without Banner and his control, you could have like Ultimate Rage Hulk and him completely going mental, and then they just have him asleep, and I'm just like, go fuck yourselves. If you're not doing anything with the Green Giants, fuck off. Like
I'm not using this spoiler as the word spoiler as an actual warning because you've already been warned, but if I was in a spoiler territory, I'd be like, because the next character we're going to talk about is Thor, and it's the same reason for Thor. Hulk survives, so does Banner. Thor survives. They're both going to be able to have more story. So I was able to give up. Could you have given up anything from Stark or Cap for Thor or Hulk in this movie? For me, no.
I could have given up a lot more fucking up for Thor. As in, like, I would have given more
all of Thor's up to Hulk.
Like, I would have given a large amount more off Thor's storyline to Hulk. To Hulk's resolution.
Can't argue with that, but I'm kind of thinking they were trying to do the original 6, blah blah blah. But anyway, to agree, because I do agree, I don't disagree. But to say the only difference there is, I guess, I was able to ignore it or move on from it quite quickly.
Yeah, no, I wasn't able to at all.
So it ruined the film for you.
No, it ruined that character. It ruined my trust in that character, and the fact that we had a rocky start with Ed Norton's Incredible Hulk, and then we had it steadily getting better and better, and then it seemed like they found a really good setting within Ragnarok.
Into Infinity War then.
Even Age of Ultron to Ragnarok was really good because we got Bruce Banner falling in love with Nat and all that kind of stuff, and then we had the Hulk seeming like he was slowly falling in love with Valkyrie or liking her anyway, and then in Infinity War having him completely decimated. Or the Hulk completely decimated, and we getting a Bruce Banner film, which I was perfectly happy with, perfectly loving seeing that, to not getting a resolution and not getting some kind of really good play from that character. I love Hulk. He's like my second favorite character. If they try to do a movie now, I'm going to be fucking pissing all over that film first. I'm going to be like nitpicking everything.
We're into unforgivable territory.
Yeah.
Okay, so it definitely has affected the movie for you. There's no two ways about it. Oh, that's a shame.
As in, like, it just, every time they had, like, Hulk on screen, I was just like, go fuck yourselves. Like, the part where they go back in time and they're just like, you have to smash stuff, and he's, like, dotting around the place and throws that motorcycle. I was like, go fuck yourselves. Like,
it might get lost in the edit anyway, but we might have to go back and edit out me going, I think myself and Paul were both positive about the movie in the same way.
No, I loved the film.
If I felt that way about anything, I wouldn't be able to give a film that,
in I can give them the film top marks because it still works around a lot of the stuff that I really, really enjoyed. As in, they did enough within the entire film to make me forget.
Okay.
But anytime there was a moment where specifically him on screen, I was just like, I'm checking out.
All right. Oh, because I was able to stay involved and forgive a lot of things, because that's the other thing. There's an awful lot to forgive in this film. If you want to pick on it, and you really can pick on it, there's an awful lot that you could get very, very picky. Now, that's not picky. That's a bit bigger than picky. But there is an awful lot.
Yeah, no, I get your point.
And I very much, for the greater good, for the bigger thing, it was washing off me. Usually these things don't. So they did enough right for me that I was able to very much gloss over. And I think we should probably, before moving on to Thor, can we nip into Nebula, because this is one other thing that we did briefly talk about. Nebula moving back in time, 2 nebulas, and all of a sudden there's Nebula Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And again, Paul nails things all the time, and I'm like, it's a very, very good point. There was no setup that she ever had.
No. Yeah.
was on a quantum network
Yeah,
through
I
space
was-
or a cosmic
yeah.
network or anything.
Yeah, like we were discussing it and going like, even in Infinity War or in Guardians of the Galaxy or something where they just went, her processor is based on a quantum processor or something like that, and then later on going, oh, we seem to be getting some kind of interference with her quantum network.
Yeah.
You can you can just throw bullshit words
Here-
at
but-
it.
This is the same impasse as a moment ago, though. The why I go one direction and you go the other direction around the tree. It bothered you up to the point that not bothered you. It bothered both of us for an instant, but you're like, they should have dealt with it. And I'm like, it was a great plot device to have her be connected. If they only come up with it the day of shooting, I would have been like, keep it in. Doesn't matter that you didn't set it up at all. You can't set everything up. The fact that they didn't set it up doesn't mean that it couldn't be the case. So
No.
I was like, yeah, whatever.
No, I was the same. I was just like, that's fine. Like, I'm grand with
But even
a
like
cybernetic
even
organ.
the idea that they kept physically jacking into her in
Yeah,
every
well-
film completely undermines it. But again, I'm like, it's a brilliant plot device actually right now to have the two of them connected. So I'm like, these are clever, you get away, free pass. I
Yeah.
think, as I said to you first, I'll allow it.
Yeah, no,
They
you
were
did.
just
And like the only reason I said literally one line in another film would have been able to help us move past it even faster
True.
was just because I was just like, you could have just done a throwaway line.
Yeah. And again,
No problem with it.
the reason that things like having a throwaway line that would have set it up, if they had, it would have made me move past it any faster. And it's that personal thing of, I would have maybe either remembered it or not remembered it or whatever, and it would have been like, whatever, because I was more impressed by, oh god, this is a clever plot device. I like where you're going with this. I was on the wave, so they really could have screwed something up, and I would have missed it completely because I'm like, surfing with you guys. You're doing a good job. So that leads us on to Thor.
Another one of my characters that I
Well, this is one that I found more distracting. I was able to move on from the Hulk thing and get on with the rest of the story. The Thor thing, much more distracting.
yeah, definitely. We're talking about Thor now because I think that his story could have given more space away towards Hulk.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a very fair point. Do you know what, realistically, Paul, when I asked you a few minutes ago or previously about what would you give over to Hulk, I think I should have thought harder before I said that, because you're right. Thor was in this movie. Thor was fine in this movie. Thor was made into a bit of a comic relief moment.
I would say a Thor was in this movie. I would not say our Thor.
Touche, sir. Yeah, no, I think that's right. And he was, to say that he was used primarily as comic relief is not an exaggeration.
No, that's an incredibly accurate and fair, analytical analysis.
Which is a shame, because he does have, there is time travel in this movie. Try saying that really quickly 3 times. Thor time travels. I did it. But he goes back when they're going to pick up something from Natalie Portman, who I don't think had to reshoot anything. I think it was all reused footage.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
Because she was at the premiere, and she was in the credits.
Yeah.
So
There were people who weren't even in the movie, I think, though, that might have been in the credits. I weirdly felt. I don't know. But again, cutting room floor. Anyway, Thor goes to Asgard back when his mother was still alive. And they do meet, and it is very good. I've said this a few times off camera. What the hell happened? Rene Russo was great. Where was that when she needed it? The last time she was doing this job of
Thor's mother,
which was Thor 2.
Yeah.
It was night and day. Like, she was great. She was perfect and lent some real gravitas to a moment with a character that was being comic relief up until that point.
Yeah, like the level of comic. I'll go back to the mother thing, but the level of comic relief that Thor was giving us, since we've already said it, spoilers. He's fat in this one. Like he's really let himself go because of the guilt he feels from not being able to stop Thanos, and like from the reveal. From literally the reveal of what Thor has been up to for the last 5 years, it's from then on that it's just like, oh, this character is not to be taken seriously in any kind of way. You know, even his blight and guilt is like really shoved under the carpet quite quickly.
Yeah, it's Yeah.
Like, as in, because you guess at the start he's sitting down, as in the trailer, he's sitting down and they're just like, oh, what's wrong with him? And he's just like, he feels guilty. He feels unimaginable guilty for not being able to do more.
Yeah. Oh, he should have gone for the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then having him, like, you know, being an alcoholic, which is woefully glossed over and made slight fun of, to him losing, like, him having gained weight, to him just being, like, you know, constantly a waster kind of character.
Yeah.
It's just like, stop. You gotta stop.
The thing is, it was fine if it had been done sparingly, and if they were like, oh, okay, here's the angle, and then moved on and, you know, made use of, because they tried, like, with the Thor talking to his mom, they tried character development, but there was so little of it because they spent so much time making Big Lebowski jokes.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is, the conversation with his mother is so heartfelt and so great that it's just a drop in an ocean that you know, which is real bad, and then to have even that island within that ocean to be suddenly, like, you know, slightly flooded with the joke.
Oh, the
eat a
salad.
Yeah, it's just like, you gotta stop. Like,
I guess though I am looking at this all wrong, because finally now I have an Avenger I can identify with on screen. Because his physique, if I could grow this beard that little bit longer and if I let my hair grow out, I'm pretty sure I could cosplay Fat Thor at some stage. Now I'm like, I could never do Thor, because I can't get up in the middle of the night, you know, eat protein shakes and you know, bench 200 pounds. But I'm pretty sure I can get in Fat Thor shape now. Maybe some platform shoes. I'm still short.
See, I think you'd be good as Bruce Banner.
Oh, like Professor Hulk or just Bruce?
No, Bruce Banner.
Oh, well, I can wear a cardigan.
You know?
He seems to be happy with a loose-fitting cardigan quite often. And a pencil. This is a pencil. Anyway, we're now thinking of
cosplays that we could possibly do.
To be honest with you, I would say you could do Loki, except the beard is going to be an issue.
Yeah, I don't want to get rid of my beard.
Yeah.
I like my beard.
Loki with a beard? Anybody? Comment down below. Anyway, back to Thor being a bit wasted. Again, much like I was saying earlier, one of the reasons I was able to get over the wasting of Thor, and I've just realised I should speak into the mic more, is because Thor is hanging around. Thor, it's pretty much made clear, wasn't going anywhere. Thor is also pretty... I can't say it for sure, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will have Thor in it.
It seems like it will.
Yeah, looks like it.
My thing is, you know how his mother says... His mother goes, oh, you should always be the person you're meant to be. And then at the end, he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to be me. Is the Thor that he's thinking of being the drunk, crappy Thor? Because I don't want to see that Thor. If that's who he... I'm one of those things where it's just like, yeah, be who you are, you know?
Yeah.
But unless you can be Thor, then be Thor.
Yeah, who do you want to be? I completely get that, actually, because that's a good point. Well, you know what? I think we can all say, and everybody, you've all watched Endgame now, we can all pretty much say up to the last shot that you see of Thor in it, it's Chris Hemsworth is actually quite good at being funny. We're gonna squeeze as much juice out of that lemon as we can.
Yeah.
I think that's a mistake that they squeeze so hard, because if it had been used more sparingly, it would be much more impactful. Like, I would be sitting here going, man, Chris Hemsworth really nailed being funny, because he did, but there was too much of that to give it any sort of special or anything like that.
Yeah, like, I don't mind the letting of his physique go or anything like that. I don't mind them doing him being, like, you know, kind of a waster and stuff like that. But if they could pull it back, as in, like, have him act seriously, like, a little bit, a few times through the thing, not just being hammered throughout the film, I would have been like, this is grand. I don't need Infinity War Hulk or Thor.
No.
Like, I would love to have Infinity War Thor back, but, like, if they're going this way where he's down in the dumps, guilt-ridden, depression, alcoholism thing, that's fine. It's just that when they're all doing the plan of getting the stones to fix everything, I thought that Thor would be like, let's go. All right, so I'm back in the game kind of thing, but he wasn't.
He had emotional moments. and they were actually peppered. There's a few more, and I'm just thinking of rewatching the film in my head. He does have deep emotional moments, but unfortunately, he's never allowed to have a complete one. Because even when he's like, let me do it, like they give Don Cheadle a, you've got, maple syrup running through your veins or whatever the hell it was. I can't remember what food stuff they made the joke about, and it's just like, God, he can't even have. Like he can't even have the any teary moment of, look, I'm a mess, I really need this, without them going, well, if he's not going to make a joke about it, we better get somebody in the room to make a joke about it. It's like, oh shit.
I do like how they did finally the elephant in the room when he leaves, when he puts his hand out.
Oh, for Mjolnir?
No, not even just for Noah. Anytime he puts his hand out and waiting for the hammer or waiting for whatever weapon he's doing. Like, because he does it with the umbrella, in Ragnarok, which I really enjoy. Where I liked that joke. That joke where it felt really, it landed so well for me.
That's a pre-existing joke, if you know what I mean, and that's why it can work.
But that's what I'm saying. As in, like, it's because there's a real good moment where they have such a heartfelt moment. Then they have a terrible joke about the salad, and then he puts out his hand. He goes, "Oh wait." Puts out his hand, and then she go, like, Rocket's going, what the hell's going on? And then she goes, it takes a minute.
Yeah.
And then it arrives. You're just like, it's such a good moment.
It really is. And don't get me wrong, Thor's not shit. Sorry, you were going to say something else.
But it's that level of, like, writing that you're just like, see, that's good.
Yeah.
And then putting it alongside of eat a salad, or you've got maple syrup. It's just like, you're making fat jokes now, and if you're getting to that level of comedy, then you need to give up.
And the thing is, again, I'm not sitting here going, you're taking the piss out of the physique. I'm not doing that. They had made the he let himself go joke so much and so completely by when Meek and Korg are sitting in the room playing PlayStation or whatever brand it may have been. They may be sponsored by Microsoft, so possibly Xbox. They had covered the joke, and as you say, they almost pivoted then to alcoholism full on for some of it, and never really kind of acknowledged that that's not that's not good.
Yeah, you're all heroes. You're meant to be, like, supporting each other. Like, I don't see Captain America being on a team not talking to Thor about it. Like, I think they missed some things with that character. That's why I'm like, take him out and fix the Hulk, because I feel like if you took out some of those pieces of Thor, he'd probably be less of a problem. Yeah. And then you can fix Hulk. Or even do it at the opposite end. If you want to get rid of more Hulk moments and actually have Thor transition back into a hero.
Do you know what? I would agree with you. And this is funny because being so critical about a film that I'm going to give pretty much a perfect score to might sound weird and hypocritical. These things are, for me, they're perfect examples of how good the film is. Like, it's these terrible things that I completely agree are so unbelievably ham-fisted and shit, yet wow, the film is incredible. With Thor out of the way, we have a whole other cast of characters that are not part of the original six, not part of the, they're not Thanos, they're not main roster in this film. No. Or even in some cases not main roster in any of even their own films. Well, I'm just thinking, like, the Wasp does show up.
You got the Wasp, War Machine, Bucky, Falcon.
Rocket probably is the one worth talking about because he gets the most screen time.
Yes.
And I have an issue with some of what they did with Rocket, but
let's go through this. So War Machine's quite good in this. He steps up in certain ways. Not enough for that character to have. I would be interested in possibly seeing maybe a further development of that character, and then possibly move to a film on his own.
War Machine.
Yeah.
Funny, I see War Machine as the perfect Disney Plus crossover. Like, they're doing Disney Plus stuff, TV stuff with so many of the characters. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why War Machine wasn't one of the ones chosen. Because a non genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist Iron Man, which is what he is. He's military Iron Man. Yeah. You can tell simpler and smaller stories because he can be in more danger because he's not a genius to work his way out of it. So that's TV level a little bit more, if you know what I mean. And you can still keep his suit, so to speak, his tech. I don't know why.
Did you also notice that he got an upgrade between two things?
Yeah.
Is it never explained? Because you've seen it twice. Never explained.
No.
Okay, cool.
It is not, and it is noticeable the second time.
It is
way more than the first.
I know that because
It's like-
I was just like, that is not the War Machine that he started with,
Nope.
and that looks like a way better suit.
Yeah, and full paint job now. This is not just like yeah.
Nice glowy parts as well.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we got
characters,
Falcon, which has a really really good moment in that film.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
Well,
Go
not
for it.
even the end. On your left.
Yeah.
That's a really good callback.
Well, actually, let's talk callbacks for just 2 seconds, because there are callbacks all the way through this. And we won't talk about Tony Cap or Thanos or any of theirs, but even for the minor side characters, they do callbacks inside of callbacks. They have done a masterful job of referencing in the right kind of way previous things that have happened, previous things that have been said. It was lovely. It was lovely.
Yeah.
That was a real joy. Every time it happened, it never felt hammy. It never felt like anything more than a good tip of the hat or a good. It was not, but kind of like, way.
Yeah.
It was really appropriate and kept flowing.
No, it really did.
Hard to do.
True, with that many characters as well. Then you got the Wasp, who has 2 lines in it, really. You have Pepper Potts finally getting the rescue armor, which is cool. I really appreciated that kind of callback.
Yeah.
You got Scarlet Witch going toe-to-toe with Thanos for a little bit. That was pretty cool.
Black Panther shows up.
Black Panther
when he's
and
unsnapped.
Black Panther and the Wakanda tribes and stuff like that
so
come up, which is
Okoye and Shuri show up along with him.
which are cool.
Spider-Man is a side character in this.
Spider-Man's good because he comes back and he says, but Doctor Strange as well. So I would talk about Rocket, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man.
Okay, well then let's
Rocket a little bit
nail
more,
them. But yeah, so hit me with the Strange.
Strange was interesting because it's like he's the one who set this all up, and he's talked about before in the movie as well.
Yeah, the ancient one, Tilda Swinton, mentions like he should know what he's doing. He's supposed to be the best of us.
Yeah, which is really cool. Then the wake up call, which is like, it's been 5 years, let's get there, which is interesting. But it's the whole thing of him knowing.
Yeah. And
him knowing what's going to happen.
And him calling out that I can't say because that could affect it happening or not.
Yeah.
Which then leads to his best moment of the movie, which is the one finger to Tony. Which, I took multiple ways of, Tony, you were asking, is this the one reality where it works out? I'm giving you the hope right now. But the look on Tony's face is not just, so this is the one, because he looks sad almost instantly afterwards in a very, very serious way. It's like, this is the one. This is the big one. Because we'll be talking about Tony in a minute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Strange had to feature.
But it's such a weird thing, as in he featured so little and he had such a great impact on the story.
Yeah, that's weird,
kind of thing. Whereas Spider-Man didn't really, except for he's back.
Yeah, it's the Tony so sad because he lost the kid.
Yeah,
Spider-Man was supposed to be one of his emotional buttons, but then when he shows up, it's like, that's cool. That's Peter Parker. He gets to be Spider-Man.
Well, they hug, don't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's like,
nice
Mr. Stark,
moment.
I was doing the whole thing, and it was nice, but it didn't hit me as hard as I think they maybe thought it was going to hit people. But it was great to see him.
I'm not a big fan of the instant kill mode.
No, that does seem a little contra to the character, and it felt it.
Yeah,
it did feel it.
It's another callback though, but it's a bit of a weird one.
It is a good callback insofar as this is how much the chips are down. The one mode that he found that he was like, let's not be using that ever again. He's like, oh, use this mode. One little thing about Peter Parker, as opposed to Spider-Man, my favorite moment from him in the entire thing was actually where he has the gauntlet and Captain Marvel walks over to take it from him, and he's like, I'm Peter Parker, blah, 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 blah. And her kind of, hey, Peter Parker, I melted a little bit. I was like, you know what? Captain Marvel, make 10 films. I'll watch them all.
Well,
just perfect.
I liked it because it had a slight contra, or like mirroring of Captain America
Yeah.
and Peter Parker. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're the kid.
Queens, Brooklyn. Yeah.
Which is really nice. And then having her coming over going, hey, Peter Parker, I think
Yeah.
you have something for me. And he's just like, yeah.
It's just like
you know.
being so sweet.
But I feel like there might be another
Mentorship.
another
there.
mentorship kind of thing going on with Captain America and her, or Captain Marvel and her, and
him,
Peter Parker. So I think that could be a good one.
If you could write a strongly worded letter to Feige and co. and get them to do that, I'd really be very happy.
Oh yeah,
Because that would make little me very happy. I would very much like Peter Parker's new mentor to be Carol Danvers, please. Please. That would be good.
So onto Rocket.
Yeah, Rocket. My issue with Rocket here is Rocket's funnier than he was, if you know what I mean. Like, they gave him some good lines, and he was fine, but he has been funnier, if you know what I mean. Previously,
As in he wasn't funnier. He wasn't as funny as he has been in the past.
yes, this wasn't maximum quip Rocket.
See,
But-
yeah.
And that's why it's a two-part, and that's why I want to blow it out there. And I would be happy with that if they hadn't lost the other thing that he was, which was, and I've always really liked the Rocket character for his hurt, there ain't no thing like me but me. I didn't ask to be made. All those, like, when I think of Rocket, I think of this lonely, confused, angry little man who is now, in thanks to the snapping, is even more alone. Like, he can't share the idea that, half of his race are gone, because he doesn't have a race. He doesn't have anything in common with anybody ever. There was no emotion for Rocket in this. There was no emotion. When he saw Groot, there wasn't enough of a reconnect with Groot. They didn't give him any moment at any point to be emotional Rocket. And that it felt hollow. It felt really hollow. Though you obviously disagree, which is good.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I disagree in the fact that he's been funnier. He's been funnier in a different way. As in, he's more that character that's like stupid, kind of like that. He's that kind of character where he slags you a lot more. And in this, he didn't.
No.
Which is off kilter. But also my slight disagreement of the lone part, which I think they slightly fixed in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and in Infinity War. Because they gave him a massive kind of like emotional boost and stuff like that, where he's taking on a lot more.
Yeah, or
captain. Not even like this going like, might have to be the captain now and talking to him, kind of thing. And it gave him such an emotional boost. Where in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he's accepted the fact that these are his family. But he's in that movie, he was always like pushing them away because he didn't want to let them in, and then eventually lets them in.
And the time with Yondu in that film, like, that helped develop that massively. I agree, but
so my thing is that when the snap happens, to essentially be thrown back after all that emotional development, to be thrown back to where he was at the start of Guardians 1.
Yes.
And even without Groot.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been more the emotional impact for that character, as in.
But they didn't let him express it anywhere. That's the big thing. Like, I no doubt the emotion was there, but it's like, when did they let him show it on screen other than one moment of holding Nebula's hand? It's like he with the amount of screen time Rocket had compared to a lot of these other, lower down the ranks characters, they didn't really give him expressive moments.
No, not at all.
That was such a shame.
Which is, as I said, the alone moments that he's had in the past to then be removed, and him having a family to then go back to the alone part. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me that this character would not be tearing at the walls about trying to get them back. And to have him in such a way. Like, the only moments that kind of really kicked me was when he smacks Thor and tries to get him back in line.
Yeah, we've all lost family.
Kind of thing, which is like one moment that I was just like, and then it just turns around and I'm like, son of a bitch.
They needed more. They did again, and I think it comes back to the Thor thing. They didn't seem to be comfortable when there was any comedy around to leave emotion there. They would always do emotion, comedy.
It was just like someone farted in the room, and you could just go, no one talk about it, and then someone has to go, no, someone farted.
The fat in here? So realistically, we've talked about, Peter Quill shows up and there's a lot of stuff to do with Gamora and time travel, and I don't think there's
They gloss over it too quickly.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think there's a lot to be gained, because they didn't feel like there was a lot to be gained, which I understand they had to move the story along. God, I really sound like I'm bagging on a film that I absolutely adore and love and think is one of the best films ever made.
It's so weird. I think it's because we like it so much that we're being hypercritical towards us and
probably.
nitpicking. Like, as you were saying, a lot of the stuff you can forgive because it is such a good film.
Yeah, and they were trying to achieve so much.
And it is based around two characters a little bit more than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So we can understand, like, that. We can understand the fact that it's like, if you get those two main points really, really nailed down with everybody else semi-good,
then that's a win.
You can well off, like, it's a great balancing act, because this is the first Avengers film that has so much more people in it.
Oh God, yeah.
And it has everybody in it, and it has so much more story arcing with the time travel stuff.
Yes.
Because not only do you have everybody in this film, you also then have a few people again because of the time travel in this.
Well, that was the original note I sent myself after seeing it, was to have a film with 30 plus main characters and then take on time travel. To not have that be a mess is amazing. To actually turn all of that plus time travel in multiple places, multiple times, multiple locations with multiple different teams, that's a miracle. It's not just amazing, it's miraculous.
And I think one of the gluing parts, one of the connecting parts that did that so well, which you were talking about as well, which we actually forgot, Scott Lang.
Jesus, we nearly did, because this is the one of the few things that we have actually talked about at length. There's no excuse to make a bad Ant-Man film when you see how good Scott Lang was in this. A revelation for me. It was just, he was the glue. Great way of putting it. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Perfect foil for everything that was going on.
Yeah, like, because he's such a good emotional start to when he comes back to finding out that it's been 5 years later. For him, it's 5 hours.
Yeah.
Him finding his name on the people who are missing.
Yeah.
To finding out that Cassidy, his daughter, is 5 years older,
still alive,
kind of thing. And it's like, even the part where the kid, he's like, "Hey, what happened to your kid?" And the kid looks back at him, and like him knowing that something terrible has happened within the moments that kid looked at him.
It's crazy.
To then move on to be like, time heist.
Yes, and again, all credit to Paul Rudd. Genuinely, all credit to Paul Rudd. He pulled off the emotional beats, like you say, going back and fighting, when Cassie comes to the door and sees him, there's a part there where he has to get that right. If he doesn't nail that emotion, you're not buying that character from then on out. Nails it. And as you say, when it gets to delivering the time heist line, pitch perfect. If I was to give anybody the highest mark out of the entire movie, it would be him.
Like, I would give him the highest marks in best, like, I don't know, character, like,
pulling it off.
Like, yeah, like, as in having two mediocre films.
Yeah,
not his fault.
You have to assume not now.
Yeah, because he's so good in Civil War.
Yes,
and then to have him in which goes this in Endgame and being so good. It's like, he's the Thor I wish I had, as in he's emotionally good and funny.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
He's the Thor we did have for a while.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So
then we're on to the meat and the sandwich. Before we talk about the big two, we've got Thanos. We've got the big bad, the angry grape, the grimace himself, whatever you want to call that big purple toenail. They kill him early, which I thought was great, because he's coming back.
They kill their version. They kill future Thanos.
Yeah, and thanks to time travel, they kill a Thanos, and there is the past Thanos that becomes the now clear and present danger Thanos.
He is so much more aggressive, and he's so much more malicious in this one.
Oh, completely.
Like,
he's a dick. There's no kind of, he was doing this for reasons that they turned him mean. Because
that's Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos.
Oh yeah.
So like that's well back.
Mm.
So how much just out of curiosity, how much character development did that character have off screen that got him from that Thanos to the Thanos that we
From
got?
Infinity War, yeah.
Because he is like in Infinity War. I'm as you know, I'm fully like I completely understand that character. Like I understand that character. The method in which he's doing it is horrible.
But you'll put up some defense for him. Let's just put it that way. And I completely understand and agree with up to a point. This guy,
No, fuck him.
well, this guy is going, oh, I'm just really looking forward to blowing your planet apart and making everybody suffer.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy this. You what? You've become just, mean.
It's weird. It's
is
a weird
weird.
turnaround in the character because, like, if you have the moment where he's just like, yeah, I've never made this personal, but this time I will, you're just like, oh, go fuck yourself, mate.
And as you point out, because of time travel, he grew to not want to make it personal, but now older him, as it turns out, was an absolute dick. Because the guy who's an ass is older is Thanos from the past. So you're right. What happened? What happened from the Thanos who's an ass to the Infinity War Thanos to mellow him out to the point of, oh yeah, I'm doing this because I have to and I don't want to be an ass about it. It's like, well, you used to want to be an ass about it.
Yeah. It's just like, wow.
Did someone sit him down?
Like, I don't, it's so weird. It's so weird as a character development that you're just like, what happened?
Do you know what it is? It was Ronan the Accuser. Took him aside and was like, Thanos, buddy, come on. Quit being a dick.
Or is it that he saw Ronan being such a dick that he was just like, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, no.
Is that...
It's not going to work out. Jeez, I already have this thing on my chin. Like, I look like I've been eaten from the garbage disposal.
It was so weird and so much more like, well, fuck that character. Do you not give a shit now? Because, like, the speech that he has, which is, the thing I did wrong, was having everybody...
The fact that you guys can remember.
And you're just like, yeah, that would have been... If you had clicked your fingers and as part of that caveat of getting rid of half of people, making the other half forget them, you would have probably been fine.
Yeah.
But now your plan is essentially to kill everybody and start a new universe.
And be God.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, you have made such a fucking... Your high horse of saving the universe is now such a pile of shit.
Oh, it's a dead horse now. Because, like, yeah, that's exactly it. He was coming from that virtuous stance of, I don't want to rule. I want to make a paradise for everybody, and I have to sacrifice myself being the bad guy to make the hard decision. Now, we have the other speech of, I actually just want to tear it all down so that you guys will get with my plan, and I'm actually going to do it, and you'll be grateful. He used the word grateful, and that means grateful to you. Oh, God complex. Oh, we're into God complex. Shit, God complex.
Because he has... It's a little bit different, because he says grateful universe in Infinity War.
Yeah, but in a very different way.
But it's more the act of trying to save them.
Yeah, but...
And in this, it's... I'm going to kill you all and then rebuild life, and then that life is going to be grateful to me. And you're just like, go fuck yourself, God.
One is thankful for what they have. The other is they'll be thankful to me.
Yeah.
What a douche. Yeah, so it was great that Thanos died, and you know what? Because this is a spoiler review, I really am glad that nobody stabbed him or any of that. I'm glad that they didn't kill him, particularly because they beheaded him earlier in the movie. I thought a snap out of existence was the way for Thanos to go.
It's such a good one.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's his past future self, the one that we got at the start of the film.
That one.
Yeah, because we're using the chronological order of the universe and then the chronological order of the movie.
Saying it, but no, but I do. Yeah.
That one was like, I am inevitable.
Yes.
And then having this one lose to such a great phrase, is such a good moment that it's just like, see, you're not.
And it was like I say, I didn't want anybody. What I particularly didn't want is what I thought was going to happen, which is Stormbreaker buried into his head, because it's like, went for the head. So when they dealt with that early on by beheading him, it was like, oh, good. That is a really I do like that part. What did you do? I went for the head. Went for the head.
It's such a great callback.
And it cleaned that worry off my table, kind of going, oh well, that's how they're going to end up doing him in. Because I thought, how are you going to kill Thanos going into this? And I thought the one thing that they have brought up is the idea that should have gone for the head. Other than that, the only person who's had a direct kind of I'm going to stab them would be like Drax. and he's not going to be the one to take Thanos down in this movie.
Or Nebula.
See, Nebula I actually thought might actually have a chance of being the one to do him in. But the snap was the way to go. The snap was absolutely the way for Thanos to dust out.
Now, the main event.
The big two.
So on to the main event.
The big two. The big two are, everybody knows, it's Captain America, Steve Rogers, Iron Man, Tony Stark. I think, in all fairness, we'll start with Captain, because as the film does, we'll end with Tony Stark. Because I'm the Cap man, this was, for me, pitch perfect, beyond flawless, the way they dealt with his character. Not only the ending, which is what everybody will remember, but everything, the whole way through. How he was dealing with things. The 5 years later, him in that support group, they gave him the calling in to see Black Widow. His reference to his own optimism, talking about, I saw whales going up the Hudson, there's less boats, less pollution, blah, blah, and, Black Widow's like, telling me to look on the bright side of half of existence disappearing, and he's like, force of habit. They based him in the film. They moved 5 years on, based him again. They developed every moment that he curses and is not squeaky clean Rogers. Then he gets to meet squeaky clean Steve Rogers, have a fight that is brilliant and perfect, because he does have America's ass, using little things like the Bucky rule, where he's having a fight with, or the Bucky method, whatever way you want to look at it. If you're fighting old Steve Rogers, just say the word Bucky and he will mess up and you'll get to punch him. It's been his MO. They nailed everything, but most importantly, he remained Captain America as he is. He kept the Captain America that he was. They didn't just radically kind of alter him for the sake of the story. He picks up Mjolnir. I pretty much almost exploded in my seat. Big Cap fan, big Hammer fan. Mjolnir's my friend. The whole room, the whole cinema I was in, burst into applause spontaneously. There was no applause until that moment. But when it comes back and he grabs it, place exploded. And I thought that was quite right. Then you get to the meat for Captain America. You get his passing, except he doesn't die. Because the Steve that you see go into the time machine to go back and drop back the Infinity Stones, that's the last time you're seeing that Steve. That's our goodbye to Captain America. The last frame of the film is the most perfect frame of the film for me. That last, just before black, him and Peggy dance and kiss, it was pure perfection. That's it. And there's everything I have to say about Captain America, and because I'm so biased, it's almost everything I have to say about Endgame, because they did the one thing I needed them to do well. They did that so well. So well. Thank you for my little Captain America moment.
Yeah, I think Captain America is a really good. I think he did develop in this one.
Yes, but they didn't radically change him for the sake of the movie.
No, I don't think he became like evil Rogers or anything like that. He went through a very swash of emotions, building himself back up from the loss of Infinity War to the standing in front of Thanos for the first time since the snap, them killing him, to 5 years on when it feels like he's a little defeated, but he still has the I want to go make sure that my friends are okay.
Yeah, he's still like Captain America.
To meeting Scott Lang about the possible plan, and the possible plan is to jump, as in he immediately comes from I'm just looking in on my friends and stuff like that too. If this has a chance, we have to do it.
He never stops being Captain America at any point along that way.
I do feel like he loses a bit of Captain America at the start.
He has his doubts
with Tony Stark berating him consistently and stuff like that. I think there's a moment there, because at the end of Civil War, Steve Rogers leaves him the phone and says, "Whenever you need," and stuff like that. It's kind of like, it's not. I know though, it's not about the actual location of where those two characters were. As in, like, I don't think Tony Stark is like, you said we'd be together.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's like, I think it's the 21 days in space that makes him feel that way. As in, like, it felt like they didn't come find him or something like that. I felt he feels abandoned by essentially what he thought was his best friend, kind of thing. And then coming around against that as well. Like, as in, they unbuilt and rebuilt, I feel, Steve Rogers and the Tony Stark relationship so much in this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and prior to this, it was an under construction relationship that was never fully repaired until it was fully repaired.
See, I feel even with the Civil War moments that it still had like a fairly good grinding. You know, kind
like
of thing.
It was, there was still something there, but it was by no means a repaired relationship.
No, but as in, like, it's still that kind of thing where it's like, I'm still Captain America. You know, when you ever need me, call me and stuff.
That's the essence of who he is.
And then Infinity War, it's like he goes to call him and doesn't and things. But having the start part where he tears, like, it feels like from Civil War and Infinity War, that Captain America is still there, always there for his friends and stuff like that. And then in the start of Endgame, Captain America is slightly, I feel, like, taken back and hurt and horribly
definitely
torn
hurt.
down by. I feel
Definitely
like
hurt.
I feel like he's not Captain America at that moment.
All right.
In the fact is that, like, he's like, no, as in he himself doesn't feel like Captain America.
Yeah,
you know,
I understand what you're going for. I guess the counter to that is the obvious one of if you snap your fingers and something needs to be, if the right thing has to be done, he's up like a bolt, no matter how far back he falls.
I feel no, as in usually yes, but I feel at that moment I think he was, because Tony Stark is such a close friend, having him say all that stuff, I feel like Steve Rogers was hurt really badly, and maybe, like, you know, which I feel is when they do the Thanos thing and then they do the 5 years later, I feel like in some way that Tony Stark's speech to Captain America slightly has that effect on him, where they're in the support group and he's like, we all have to keep, you know, it's good that we could keep moving on and stuff.
Yeah, we got to try.
And then I think it's like when they get that moment of light again and they jump on it.
Oh, you see the red, white, and blue Captain America come back at that point.
Yeah, but I no, as in, like, I still think that Steve Rogers is there and stuff, but I just think after Tony Stark gives him such a, like,
he's demoralized. No two ways about it.
Which I feel like he's not himself. As in, like, it feels.
But I almost think that's what that speech to the people at the support group was reaffirming for me. No matter how down he was still. And, you know, they played it with the facial gestures of, do I really believe everything I'm saying? I do, because I know that, you know, he should have taken us all if we're not ready. The essence of Captain America, the essence of Steve Rogers is, you keep going. This is it.
It's just with that like, I think the words that he was saying was Captain America, but the tone felt a little bit shaky to me.
Oh, demoralized for sure.
Like, as in, like, I feel like, because I feel like it's the first time that I saw. It was the first time that I saw Captain torn down, which I liked. I liked to see that character going, like, you know, he's not sure about everything. He's not, like, and then the second that they give him a ray of light, he's back.
Yeah, he's,
you know, and he's back onto us, and he's slowly building up momentum again, and he slowly becomes, like, not slowly, but he becomes the Captain America that we all loved. And I think that's why the Mjolnir part really spoke to me a little bit more, was the fact is that it's, I think he had to go through the emotional mud of defeat and stuff like that to then come back around to, I'm full on willing to sacrifice myself to get the job done in the Captain America way that allows him to pick up the thing. And, like, because I think it's like I think the reason in Age of Ultron they can't pick it up is he hasn't had that massive defeat. And to start, like, I know he keeps saying I can do this all day, but I think after Infinity War and the first little bit of Endgame, that says so much more.
Oh, it's his lowest ebb for sure.
But it's the I can do this all day. It's so much more potent at that point, because it's just like,
because of the test. Because once
like he's gone through a
been
test.
once you've been tested and once you've been brought down. But I think that's the thing. The essence of Captain America for me is irrespective. There is no test that will convince me that there's no point. He cannot not be Captain America and then go back to it. That's the essence of the character. It's that no matter how low he goes and no matter how hard he's tested, that's what Captain America is. It's the getting back up. It's the sacrifice every time.
I completely understand. I feel like it's a little bit more potent for me is that he lost the light and regains it.
That they showed it to you a little bit more.
As in this fall down is a little bit harder to get up from, and I knew he would, but I'm really glad to see that he was like fully on his ass at this point, and then he stands up. That kind of like.
I think realistically, how did you feel about the rest of his arc and his exit? Like his ending.
The ending, perfect.
You felt that they
couldn't do it any better. You're bang on the money. I couldn't have asked for a better ending for that character.
And you are more magnanimous than I am about Falcon being the next captain, because, and this is nothing personal, Anthony Mackie. I would have gone with Bucky. Outside of the story.
Oh no, I said I was with you there. Bucky was. I felt Bucky was the one who was going to become.
But I guess more you're kind of kinder about whether or not Falcon can carry a franchise. I don't know if he can.
I think there's a lot. What I was talking about was I think you need to make a film and you need to write it well in showing his conflict of becoming Captain America.
That you could build him to that point.
Yeah, as in I don't think you can start a movie with him being like, I'm Captain America. It's just like, go fuck yourselves. He needs to be built up.
And I agree with you. I just, geez, in my mind, I'm like, that'll be that would be the most amazing thing they've done so far if they can get that build up to happen, because I don't feel it and I don't see it, but that's a very personal thing. When that handover happened, that was the end of Captain America, and then we got to see Steve Rogers have what Steve Rogers needed. How did you feel when the film hit black as far as the ending for Steve Rogers? Because we had our ending of Captain America with the shield handover.
Great. I think it really gave him what he needed. I'm really happy that he ended up. The line I got some of that life that Tony was talking about was just a great callback. My only thing with the shield passover was when he goes, it doesn't feel like mine. When Falcon picks it up, and he's just like, it doesn't feel like mine. I felt like if they had said a line like, or like Steve Rogers just said, it wasn't mine either.
Oh right, yeah.
Kind of making a metaphor of the shield being not yours, as in it's there for...
This is a mantle.
Yeah, as in it's there for other people. As in this is the shield against for, kind of... But, that's a nitpicking kind of thing.
True,
I'm
really
pretty happy with the way...
Well, there is the comedy edit of where he says, it doesn't feel like mine, and Bucky just yoinks it and goes, okay.
Yeah.
That would work too.
The Bucky kind of understanding of the whole thing was a really nice kind of like character. Yeah. It's just like those two characters have been through a lot. Not Falcon and Bucky and Captain America or Steve Rogers. They've been through a lot, and he completely understood what was going on. Was just a nice...
Oh yeah, my heart was the size of both my lungs for that whole sequence because of that. So I know, just incredible. And now, if it's okay with you, I will hand the mic over to you for a moment. We did me. Cap survived and got the ending he needed. You want to do Tony?
Tony Stark, Iron Man. I am Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
He has gone through so much in all of the things. I mean, Thanos in his head since Avengers 1, the PTSD that he's walked through, the possibility of getting himself killed with the reactor itself, getting it removed, to constantly and eventually his defeat and feeling left alone by his friends. He goes through so much throughout the series of movies that in an Endgame, it's like to see him so defeated. He is the I guess the culmination of all of the feelings of defeat in one go.
Yeah, he's the broken. He is the broken.
But he's out. He's the as in like these are the feelings that everybody is feeling, but he's the outward appearance of it all, kind of thing. To him, finally stepping away and finding love and family and stuff like that is such an amazing kind of like, wow. Okay, he like why would he? Like the line where he's just like, I'm sorry of what you lost, but I've gained so much. Kind of thing. It's just like, it's just like, holy shit! How do you ask this character to possibly, have that gone?
And the way they asked him was perfect. The way that the story turned for him to know that he can't be the Tony Stark he became by avoiding what he knows he can do.
Well, Pepper Potts has kind of a really good thing, which is I've never known you to not stop at a problem. Like he solves the problem and he's just like, I could just bench it, put it in the garage, it could be finished, kind of thing. And it's just like, that's not you. Yeah, that's not you anymore at all. Nope. You're not the character that puts it aside anymore. To the fight at the end part,
where he ends up, that's.
The Captain America's words ring false in a way. You're not the one to make the sacrifice. At that point in time, he says that he is right. Yeah. To him, like trying to make the sacrifice of the nuke, to this is kind of like, you can tell why Captain America is so proud of him. Yeah. At that moment, and like the whole death scene. A little bit more would have given to myself, but really nicely well done. The eulogy was fantastic. There's nothing more than I could have asked for the eulogy. Having every single person there that had any possible contact with them. Yeah. You got the kid from
Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid from whatever state that was that he landed in.
You got Happy.
Yeah.
Which was a real...
And Happy talking to his daughter. That handover from Happy being with him back at the start in Iron Man 1. It's like, your dad liked cheeseburgers. And instantly my mind saw, the Rolls Royce and the Audi had pulled up. Cheeseburger, it was actually a Whopper, I believe, because they were sponsored by Burger King at the time. It's like,
like I couldn't have asked for a better eulogy in the fact that it's actually given by Tony Stark as well. Yeah. Kind of thing. And then having what is this? Jeremy Renner and
Scarlet Witch. So
talk about
Hawkeye and
Scarlet Witch.
Talking about Vision and Natasha wishing that they knew that they'd won.
Yeah, kind of thing. And like it shows the loss. Like it's a really kind of good vehicle of oh my god, we've lost Tony Stark. But I'm the way that he does it. The way that he finally steps away from the Marvel Universe, I guess, like, I am inevitable, I am Iron Man, is such a good, powerful way of doing it.
It was how they ended the first and possibly one of the best movies ever made. Iron Man just was. It was amazing. And to end when he said, I am Iron Man, that time and this time were as impactful as each other for different ways. It was poetically wonderful.
Like, it's such a... Because you have that moment, you have the eulogy of him passing away and stuff, doing the sacrifice, everybody being real sad, kind of thing, and you're just like, oh Christ, how do you go on from this? To have Captain America's part afterwards gives you such a ray of light in the fact that those two characters completely understood what they were doing.
Their arcs were completed. For Captain America, he was a man out of time who would sacrifice everything and repeatedly did, and then got to the point of sacrificing everything and having the love that was lost, getting to have that and close that circle for him, being a man back in time, literally. For me, it was Pepper Potts looking at Tony as he's dying, when she's like, you've done enough. Because his entire story arc for me is not improvement. He wanted to be the one to save everyone. He wanted to be the one to make, as you put it, make that sacrifice.
It's the shield around the world.
Shield around the world. He wanted to fix it all. He wanted that. If he didn't get to have that, like, it was the perfect ending for him, for me, because it was the only appropriate ending. He had to be the one. And to hear her say that to him as he's about to pass on and go, you've done it. You've done enough. You can rest now. It's like, oh, man. Huge. Just huge. And it's like, there's no two ways about it. There were many wet seats from tears in the cinema, and I can completely see why. For me, Cap got me a bunch of times, Tony got me a bunch of times, other characters got me a bunch of times. I laughed, I cheered, I cried. Cannot remember the last film that made me do all three of those in a public space together. And Tony's death was perfect.
Yeah,
to do that.
It was tastefully done, well executed, respectful.
Yeah.
Kind of thing to an arc that's so well done. You can't say any more.
No.
These are the reasons why we're kind of happy with, we're saying that it's such a good movie and so happy with it, even though you've probably sat between an hour of us just saying,
tearing it apart.
Yeah, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, then I want to hit one final emotional beat that I sat with while I was in the cinema watching the credits roll. They had a nice credit montage where the original six had their signatures, so Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, and a silhouette and some footage of them in their respective films. I was expecting one more. I was expecting Stan Lee. And if they had done that, I'd probably still be crying. I'm almost welling up thinking about it, so...
Yeah, it would have been a nice kind of... I guess
it would have been a nice send off because Stan was an Avenger.
Yeah. So, three missing. I don't know what we're gonna do with the three missing. Nat, Gamora, and Vision. Maybe never
dead.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. I hope not for Vision, but I think Gamora and Nat are dead.
I think that's tied. It's a nice tied off moment.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
For me, they're dead.
Future.
We'll see if that turns out not to be the case. It's just, I'm living at that now, and I'm happy. If they change their mind, that's fine too.
Yeah.
So
what you're saying, going back to the Stan Lee part, I think that would have been a really nice closing of the circle.
Yeah. Oh, you stayed till the very end, right? You heard the
hammer.
Oh, God. That was, I'm thinking about it now and I'm getting all emotional. Take it away, Paul. Because that, for me, because my wife was with me and she's like, what was that? I was like, it's Tony.
Yeah, it's the whole, Tony. In the first trailer, in the first movie, you see Tony in the cave hammering away at the helmet. Yeah. And he puts the thing away. It's a great.
That was perfect.
It's, to me, it was the heartbeat of Iron Man.
Yeah.
Well,
there's about 10 different ways to take it, and you know what, they're all infinitely better than the last. Every time I think about it I get emotional, so you should talk.
Well, I don't know how you finish that off. There's no post-credits scenes to this at all. There's the nice signature scenes that are really nicely done. Then afterwards there is the hammering,
just the sound,
the blacksmithing of the first Iron Man, the Mark Zero kind of suit, or the Mark 1, depending on your kind of thing. But I always felt like that was the heartbeat of Iron Man. And
for me, it's Tony's out there still working on it. It's like, that's it. Yeah, he is Iron Man.
So,
I love the film. I've critiqued it with you for the last God knows how long this video is going to be. I would give it 100% just because nobody should have been able to do what they did, and they did it.
No, they did it so well.
Every dollar it earns is deserved. I know that's probably going to be the next thing to make headlines, that it'll be the first $3 billion movie or whatever. Compare it to Avatar or something like that, and tell me if I'm...
Star Wars would be the only one that I could really... In cinematic moments?
Yeah, no. Other than that, I can't think... Yeah, that's about as close as you can get.
That's the closest. Yeah. It's our Star Wars moment. And I mean Return of the Jedi. I don't mean the Revenge of the Sith or whatever.
Nobody could confuse you on that one, I hope.
I hope so.
Yeah, so they did the... Hey, we watched a miracle, because technically that's what doing the impossible is. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, doesn't matter what we've spoiled for you because you're still going to watch a miracle. I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait. So yeah, that's the closing off of Phase 3 Marvel's story arc.
Yeah.
Sad to see it go. Sad to see the characters pass.
Yeah.
Happy the way that they did it. And we'll see what they do in the future.
We all got a lot of things out of this. Myself and Paul, this is not, and I keep saying this over and over again, this is not a Marvel channel, a comic channel, anything like that. But it's a huge part of entertainment right now. But we actually wouldn't be doing this right now had we not ended up talking, nay, arguing and theorizing and speculating and doing all sorts of stuff about what was that Marvel universe that we've just watched in those 3 phases. So I guess a big thank you from me and from us to them.
Thanks, Marvel, for getting us together in a way that we can talk about movies. Yeah,
and hopefully somebody out there is watching this right now and is glad that we got together to do this. If you did, do us a favor, drop a comment. The like and subscribe, that's your business. But I would love to hear from somebody who's actually glad that we got to hear.
Yeah, and please, I know this is a spoiler video and stuff like that. Don't put spoilers in the comments. And as everybody's been saying, don't spoil this movie for other people.
Yeah.
We are strongly talking about the spoilers at the start, going spoiler alert, this is a spoiler thing, don't watch it if you haven't seen it, that kind of stuff. So
so just be careful.
Warn people.
Yeah, be very, very careful.
Respectful.
We're gonna probably not do a whole lot of Marvel stuff for the next little while because there won't be. But we are going to do our breakdown, our respective lists of where we rank the Marvel films. We already know there's one massive disagreement in our future because it's the disagreement from our past,
which has continued on,
and we'll never
have the
go
argument
away.
Today. We had another argument or discussion about it today.
We always will. So watch that. There will be very muted fireworks because I can't imagine we'll have enough energy left to keep fighting about it forever. But other than that, I hope you catch us for our next videos. We've been Hear Us Out. I could do this all day.
I am Iron Man.
That'll do for me.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you later.